It is another edition of the Agricultural Biotechnology Program, Agribiotech, where the focus is on the significance of biotechnology to agricultural development in Nigeria. I am Lara Afolayan. Confined field trials are small-scale experiments to evaluate the performance of genetically modified crops. They are conducted under terms and conditions set by government regulatory bodies. In the case of the BT cowpea, which is cowpea enhanced with the Bacillus thuringiensis gene, many confined field trials have been done in Nigeria over the last 9 years to evaluate how effectively this beans variety could fight the Maruca pest. The principal investigator of that project, Professor Mohammed Ishaku, will be speaking to us on the program on the results of the field trials. We shall also be seeing excerpts from the World Science Day's commemoration in Abuja, the Nigerian capital. Let's now see how scientists are using potato wild relatives to promote climate-resilient varieties and other stories on What's New. Scientists at the International Potato Center are using wild potatoes to develop climate-resilient varieties. This is as millions of small-scale farmers struggle with the effects of climate change. The new variety of potatoes combine heat and drought tolerance with resistance to the most important diseases affecting potato crops. They are late blight and bacterial wheat diseases, which are expected to pose greater threats as global warming advances. The International Potato Center's potato breeder and project leader, Thiago Mendes, says the climate-resilient potatoes will be shared with breeding programs in Kenya, Peru and around the world for crossing with locally adapted potatoes. He adds that partners will be given training in the evaluation. Globally, the late blight disease causes potato farmers losses worth billions of dollars. They spend more than $1 billion annually on fungicides to control the disease. Scientists are positive the development of disease-resistant potato varieties can substantially reduce production costs and help improve the incomes and diets of small-scale potato farmers. Scientists have spent the past 4 years evaluating wild, often inedible potatoes stored at the Potato Center's gene bank in Lima, Peru, and crossing them with cultivated potatoes with support from the Crop Trust and the government of Norway. The center's gene bank safeguards one of the world's largest collections of the potato's wild relatives, some of which grow in areas with harsh climates or pest and disease pressure. Tanzania could improve on cassava production with the application of modern farming methods. Director General of the country's Agricultural Research Institute, Geoffrey Mkamilu, says the proper use of advanced fertilizers could help boost the farmers' output and improve their incomes, thereby lifting them out of poverty. The Research Institute laments farmers' use of traditional, outdated farming methods, which results in poor production, but predicts a yield increase from the 10 tons per hectare to 60 tons per hectare. The 10th of November is observed the world over as the World Science Day for Peace and Development. The event was marked in Abuja, the Nigerian capital, with calls for more investment in research and new technologies. The World Science Day being observed in Abuja, the Nigerian capital. The science and technology authorities, researchers, as well as the academic community are all represented here. Their discussions center around improving on research and technologies for economic growth and development. The science and technology authorities, on their part, assure the public of greater commitment to research and development for national benefit.
This day not only signifies the importance of science in society, but also stresses the need to engage the wider public in debates on emerging scientific issues. It also underlines the importance and the relevance of science in our daily lives. The objectives of World Science Day are to strengthen public awareness on the role of science for peaceful and sustainable societies, promote national and international solidarity for shared science between countries, renew national and international commitments to use science for the benefit of societies, draw attention to the challenges faced by scientists, and raise support for scientific endeavors, among many other things. Each year, the World Science Day for Peace and Development offers opportunities to demonstrate why science is relevant to people's daily lives. This year's celebration of World Science Day is dedicated to science, a human right, as the theme.
The Nigerian annual budget is already seeing increased allocations in science and technology, but scientific experts here say the sector need more public and private sector investments for infrastructure growth.
We're really far behind time because it takes us time to actually take decisions on scientific endeavors, on most technologies of the world. We missed out in the Green Revolution. We missed out in Industrial Revolution, and today, you know, we are going into another phase. The world has gone into the biotechnology phase. Let me just take, for example, the biotechnology phase, and Africa is still lagging behind, Nigeria is still lagging behind because people are confronted with, a lot of contradictory information about some endeavors in science and world, and so most times, policymakers actually take time to come out, with good decisions that can actually move us forward. But I think we are taking steps, we are making efforts, trying to create awareness, promoting the science, so that people in the society will actually really understand science better, so that we can also move ahead as other parts of the world are moving.
Indigenous researchers are also advised to step up efforts with being at par with global research achievements.
In 2007, we had about 39 full-time researchers, FTE, that's full-time equivalent in terms of employment. But there was an increase to 120 in every 1 million in Nigeria, which is good. The average of Africa is 91. So we are producing a lot of scientists actually in Nigeria. But the world average is 1,083. Let me repeat this statement. Nigeria's average is 91, but the world's average is 1,083. So if you compare Nigeria to other African countries, we are not doing badly, but if you compare Nigeria to the rest of the world, you will find out that we are still far away from the world average. Cannot compare 91 to 1,083. But out of this 91, we found out that 23% of Nigerian researchers are women. So women are not doing badly, but we want it to come to parity. 50-50 is achievable. Even though there is an increase in publication in Nigeria, I want you to know it is still below the average in sub-Saharan Africa, which rose from 15 to 20 per million inhabitants. That means our researchers will still need to work hard to meet the African average.
It's one of the most important bases of sustainable development. This has led to a new approach called sustainability science. That is an emerging field of research dealing with the interaction between natural and social systems, and with how those interactions affect the challenge of sustainability. Knowledge of natural resources, appropriate use of natural resources like food, medicines, energy, and other uses reduction in pollution, genetic modifications, and their impact on environment, cleaning of drinking water, drainage, chemical and biological actions during biodegradation, all need the knowledge of science. Even livestock management, gas emission, disaster management, energy reduction requirements in industries, and various other areas need knowledge of science.
Young school students present here also shared their thoughts on improved use of science and technology innovations in nation building.
I made a project, water rocket, and as it's been a science day, I'm able to show it to others. Not like, sometimes when there's no science day, you just have to do it and keep it for yourself. So with this science day where people come out and show off their project, I can also come out and show off my own project, which is the water rocket. Actually, it's a rocket that uses water and pressure as its form.
So I've seen that in Nigeria today, many students don't know much on science. So today is just a day to improve our knowledge on science and also to see our innovations and on how we can improve it and make our country, Nigeria, a better place and a science and technology-based country.
The project we have today is production of bioplastics from cassava peelings. Normal plastics are non-biodegradable, they cause problems all over the place. Even if they are burnt, they cause toxic substances to go into the air. But the bioplastic, it's biodegradable. As in, after it's been used, it can be left in the soil, where bacteria will act on it and to become useful to the plants.
The 10th of December is set aside annually to commemorate the World Science Day for Peace and Development. It was adopted by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization in 2001. The day is to highlight the societal role of science while engaging the public in debates on wider scientific issues. The 2018 World Science Day for Peace and Development is themed Science, a Human Right. The theme indicates that everyone has a right to participate and benefit from science for sustainable development. And at this point, we take a quick break. Stay with us.
Did you know that genetically modified organisms, GMOs, are safe and do not pose any risk, hazard or danger to human, animal and the environment? Neither do they cause cancer, infertility, sterility, tumor or any adversity. There is safe use of GMO drugs like insulin, vaccine, rapid diagnostic test kits for malaria, HIV, hepatitis and so on. The safety of GMOs is certified by the World Health Organization, WHO, Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, the National Academies of Science globally, the Royal Society, UK, and over 110 prize Nobel laureates. GMOs are safe, effective, and certified by MBMA in Nigeria.
This message is brought to you by the Nigeria chapter of the Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology (OFAB), supported by the National Biotechnology Development Agency (NABDA).
And next on the program, Principal Investigator of the BT Kalpi project at the Institute for Agricultural Research, Mohammed Ishaku, tells us about the findings of that project and how well the modified variety has been able to resist the maruca.
A BT gene is a gene that enables an organism to protect itself against some group of insects. They are called lepidopteran insects. These are chewing insects and is restricted to only those ones. So any plant that has this gene in it will be able to protect itself against this invasion of these insects as if it has been sprayed with an insecticide. And the origin of this gene came from olden days when farmers discovered that by fermenting soil, they will be able and decant the water from that fermentation process, and they spray it against their vegetable crops. The vegetable crops are effectively protected against insects that come and feed and destroy them. So scientists from that observed and discovered that there's a particular ingredient that allows or permits insecticidal effect, which comes from the soil. And actually it has been traced to a particular soil-borne organism, a bacteria, freely found. This bacteria is harmless. It does not do any harm to human beings. Neither does the gene also does anything to human being except for these insects. The essence of the confined field trial is to confirm what has been observed in the laboratory, because in the laboratory we raised plant materials and fed them with these insects. So the insects, having the plant protecting itself against the insect internally, all the insects died. So it's as if you are spraying an insecticide against those insects. Having seen this working in the laboratory, there is now the need to plant this material outside in the environment where farmers grow it. And that is the essence of the confined field trial. Our viewers might want to know why the term confined field trial. It is required by law until when all research activities are concluded, then the research activities should be restricted to a specific point on the farm. That is why it is called confined. So all our activities are only restricted to that area until when we get a further go ahead to release it to the larger environment. That is why we conducted confined field trials. The number one benefit is that farmers will now not need to spray frequently. The largest expenditure in cowpea production, as farmers will tell you, comes from the use of insecticide. Insecticides are used frequently. Some farmers have to spray up to 8 times to be able to protect the cowpea in the field so that they can get a good harvest. So the use of this new improved variety, which is BT cowpea, reduces the requirement for spray by farmers. So this is a huge cost benefit that our farmers will get from the growth of this. Then again, this new variety has also an inherent comparable yield performance, where when there are no insects, this new variety will perform like any other conventional variety. So the advantage financially to farmers is the number of sprays that will be saved. At least 5 sprays will be saved, and each spray will cost a farmer around 1,500 naira. If you calculate 5 different sprays, that will translate to 7,500 naira or thereabout. 7,500 naira per hectare will be saved. And if you grow more than 10 hectares, you are having an advantage of more than 75,000 naira. So this is a huge advantage. Farmers who grow cowpea know what this means. They will be very excited, I'm sure, as soon as we finish with our research program, so that they will benefit from this. These insecticides, which are often sprayed, are very hazardous. They are very hazardous. They affect human health and animals. And again, into the environment. These chemicals will be drenched by rain, and then they will flow into water bodies, which we consume, and eventually it recycles into our environment. So there are what this new variety potentially will do is that, apart from giving financial advantage to our farmers by saving as much as 7,000 naira per hectare, there is an advantage of preserving their health and then preserving the health of our environment which we live in. We have researched into the composition of this new variety and compared it with the conventional one. That the same profile in terms of nutritional characteristics is found in this new cowpea as compared to just like the old one. And many sources of health concern, according to medical experts, stem from the fact that it is either it will cause you allergenic reaction, or, some people are allergic to certain things like groundnut and so on and so forth, or you find some other toxins, what you find in some crops. All of these cowpea, this new cowpea, is no different in terms of its profile, biochemical composition, its nutritional profile is not different from the conventional cowpea that we are used to consume. So in summary, there is no health risk at all. Whatever you find in conventional cowpea, it is what you get in this new improved cowpea, except that this new improved cowpea provides for our farmers reduced cost of production. It protects our environment and makes our environment healthier as a result of having to release lesser and lesser insecticides into the environment. When we were carrying out our researches, we paid attention to all these areas of concern. We planted this material from 2009 up to date. One of the indications of environmental worries is to see whether a particular plant will succeed and dominate the environment. It hasn't done that. It has not become a weed that cannot be controlled. It remained as an ordinary cowpea plant, as others do, which takes around a maximum of 60 to 70 days, and then it dies just like any cowpea variety. And also its effect on other insects, because some insects are beneficial. For example, bees, butterflies, beetles, and so on and so forth. We set a number of experiments, several of them, checking whether or not if other insects feed on this cowpea, it is going to kill them or reduce them. We discovered the result of our research indicated that this cowpea does not target any of these beneficial insects except the insect of our concern, which causes damage to the crop in the field, that is maruca. The best way of testing is definitely by feeding it to animals, cooking it, take the physical characteristics and so on. All these ones satisfied our expectations. It is exactly like a conventional cowpea, except that it has the ability to protect itself against maruca. We have conducted all our tests and we have handed them to farmers, our farmers. Farmers are the eventual judges to decide on the suitability and the profitability of production or otherwise of it. And they have evaluated it, they have found it very useful. Let me borrow from their own statement that one of the things that made them like this is that it has a relative lower cost of production, because of the issue I mentioned earlier on reduced insecticide spray. 2, this new variety is relatively earlier producing, so it produces very early, and then the seed quality, they found it to be very good. So on these three main characteristics, the farmers endorse this material. Using the baseline of 7,000 naira per hectare advantage, and then if we plant, say, 1 million hectares, okay, 1 million hectares, you can see we have 7,000 times 1 million hectares times 3, which is around 21 billion naira. The saving of 7,000 naira I told you earlier on is only in one single spray. And there are going to be at least, for this new variety, there is going to be at least 5 sprays that will be saved. So we are going to accrue to savings in terms of spendings. National expenditure in insecticide will be around 21 billion naira every year, if only 1 million hectares are planted to this new variety. And again, there will be another advantage in terms of increased production yield per hectare, which by assuming 20% yield advantage, we may end up with about 48 billion naira profit from this, if only 1 million hectares are planted to this new variety.
On feedback today, I take this message from Nasiruddin Bashir, who is interested in poultry farming and wants us to focus more on that. I have a response to that suggestion from Nasiruddin. And at this point, we draw the curtains on today's program. Send your emails to agribiotech1@yahoo.com. Send us tweets at agribiotech13 or post comments on the Facebook page Agribiotech on TVC. I am Lara Folayan. Goodbye.